How are you doing tonight, guys? So nice to have everybody here tonight. I think we are good to go. All right. So, okay. Alrighty, I think we're all good to go here on my end. So, welcome everybody to tonight's live stream. Hello, Cynthia. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Mina. Hi, Lee. Hi, Laura. Hi, Michael. Oh, Lisa, you got your calendar today. That is awesome. Thanks, Mina. Yeah, calendars should all be on their way. So it sounds like some people are getting their calendars now, which is awesome. So great. Hi, Christy. Hi, Desiree. Hi, Cap Sarah. All right, so tonight we are going to be creating just a couple simple little images for the Christmas holiday season. And you might notice that these have a little bit more texture than some of the ones that I've created in the past. So I'm going to kind of not do so much shading today, as we're going to work on more texture. And you can actually shade with texture too. So these will be fun. I don't really anticipate that they'll go the full 2 hours on the live stream, but we'll just dive into them and see how far we get and have some fun along the way. I will be using some different points tonight, and I can actually switch back and forth between the solid point burners. What I normally use is the Versatool from Walnut Hollow. I'll be working with the mini flow point. It comes with the kit when you buy the burner. And I'll also be working with the, pretty sure, the flow point here. It's the same as the mini flow point, just a little bit chunkier. And we'll see kind of which ones I want to use. I have them all on and ready to go. I also turned on the Pro Point. Not yet, but I will. Because this one is super handy for some of these details as well. And this is a custom made point, but we're trying to get them available to everybody as soon as we can through Walnut Hollow. And I can switch over to the razor tip if you'd like and just kind of show you back and forth, give you a little bit of a tutorial on different points. Some of these two here are a little bit older points, like about 10 years old, but these are all ballpoint shaders, or just ballpoint pens. We have a very small one, we have a mid-sized one, and a bigger one. The mid-sized one does have a little bit of a problem. It is floppy. It's supposed to stay right there, and I'll be working, and it tips its head a little bit. So that's kind of frustrating, something that I'm not very happy with. I used this point here a lot over the years, and it just recently kind of dislodged itself, and now it's floppy. But everything else is good to go. So we can kind of switch back and forth between some different points if you would like. But these are going to be very simple, and eeny, meeny, miny, mo, will burn the deer first. Hi, Estella. All right, so I just have a little bit of tape stuck on the back side of this so it doesn't roll around. Anytime I have a round object like this, I can't really prop it up very well without it wiggling. So I don't have the project pattern and reference photos up yet on Mighty Networks. So I was running a little bit late with the holidays and need to get that all set up. So I do apologize for that. It'll be out hopefully tomorrow. So hi there, Danny. Hi, Steve. We're doing well, thanks. Mina, the deer has adorable eyes. Yes, I agree. Okay, so as a beginner live stream, everything's going to be very simplified. We're not going to do a lot of fancy stuff, shading and all that. And one thing that we really start out doing as beginners is a lot of outline work. So that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. We're just going to outline this little guy, and you can see he has a lovely bit of texture to him. It's basically just lines. You can overcomplicate it with the first strokes and all that, but we'll kind of break that down and make it just as simple and easy as we can. So, just to show you guys the difference between the mini flow point and the flow point, I think I'll start by outlining the deer with the flow point. It's a little bit chunkier and a little bit bigger. And here you can see it's got a nice rounded tip to it, but it's great for outlining large areas. It's not so good for finer details. So I think I'll outline the deer with the flow point, and then we'll go back and we'll do the antlers with the mini flow point. Just kind of break it up a little bit. Okay, so anytime that we're working on a piece of wood, we want to really have a light pressure. If you press down really hard as beginners, you can indent the wood. Now, if you're wanting a really heavy textured effect, you can do that, but generally I like to just allow the point to gently float across the surface of the wood. There we go. So, as you can see, this flow point does produce a nice, dark, quite wide line. But if you've never used this point, it is really cool. I use it a lot for text, blocking in large areas of text. I think it's great. And as you can see, it holds a nice, dark, solid line for a long time. It really holds the heat because it is a thicker, more chunky kind of a point. Another reason that you want to allow the burner to just gently float across the surface of the wood is when wood burning on an end cut like this, these rings can really mess up the point of your pen if you press down hard. So if you're pushing down really hard and you go across those wood grains, look at how uneven that line is, because your burner is going to sink down in between the grain and then rise back up again. So it'll do this sink and rise thing, and it makes it very, very uneven to burn, especially on this end grain. So if you want a nice even line and you're burning on an end grain, you want to just gently let the point slowly kiss the surface of the wood like that. So it's a much more even line if you just skim the surface of the wood. So I hope that makes sense, guys. And I'm not sure if you can see, I wasn't pressing super hard, but it definitely will mess up your lines if you press down too hard. Hi Ramona, welcome. So Lisa, you have a request for a large charcuterie board, and you plan on using the mini flow point and the flow points. Yes, those are awesome, and definitely something that I would encourage you to use for a charcuterie board. That's kind of a hard word, but so once again, just really lightly skate the point along the surface of the wood. The slower that you go, the more even your lines will be as well. If you try to rush it and burn too fast, it'll get a very inconsistent, splotchy line. I also tend to work in smaller lines at a time. I'm not going to just do a quick outline. Move the burner a little bit slower. You can kind of go back over a line here and there if you need to. Just really take your time. And that's one thing that I think a lot of artists kind of make the mistake of when they get into wood burning, is it takes a long time. So just be patient and enjoy the process. So okay, so I think I'm going to stop with the flow point on that one, and we will switch to the mini flow point for the rest of the antlers and the main features. So you can see that this one is much more dainty and thin. It's not going to hold the heat near as well as the bigger flow point, but it still does a pretty good job. Just nice and slow. Skate across the top of the wood. This one digs down even more so because it's smaller. So really, really take your time with these smaller points. And when you burn cross grain on one of these end cuts, you'll notice that the closer you get to the center, the softer the wood is. So your point can just really dig down. Whereas out here along the outer edges, the wood, I don't know, it seems to be harder, more firm, and your point's not going to sink in near as much on the outside as it will on the inside. And all that means is you're just going to have to take more time on the outer edges than the center. Think of it like a cookie that's been baked and it's more soft and gooey in the middle and crispy around the edge. And I do like to vary the lines as far as the thickness when I create projects like this. If you have all the lines being the same width, it can look a little bit too consistent and maybe a little bit plain. So by using thicker lines and thinner lines, it can really add to the project and give it more dimension. So far so good, guys. I'm not really holding my breath a lot on this one, but it does help to practice and make sure that you have a really light, even pressure when burning. I would say that these little end cuts, these circle cookies, are one of the more difficult things to wood burn on because of the grain. Alrighty. Okie dokie. So next we'll go ahead and add in some of the other little inner features here, and we'll outline the eyes. One of the things that makes this deer so cute are the little highlights in their eyes. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see when I add that in. With wood burning, we have to burn around light areas, which is known as negative space burning. So it takes a little bit of getting used to. You just want to make sure that you keep your circles here bigger than you think they need to be, because the heat from the burner will actually kind of sink inward and make your nice highlights a lot smaller than you think they will be. So nice big outlines around your highlights. And trust the process. If it looks funny to begin with, just you're not done yet. Just keep at it. Now we're going to block in and burn around our highlights, and you'll see how these big circles turn out to be very, very tiny once we block in the eyes. So look at that. We thought we had really nice big outlines around those highlights, and look how tiny they are right now. Oh, Lee, you just sent me an email of your most recent wood burning. Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to take a look at it. And we'll just fill this one in here too. And there you go. So now we have really tiny highlights where we thought that may have been too big, but I hope that makes sense, guys. All right, let's keep working on the little basic lines of our deer. Now I did sand this piece, but you can still see quite a bit of the saw marks in there. I found that these rounds are really tough to sand down. They're hard to hold on to, and I just find them very difficult to sand. So do the best that you can. A lot of times you're going to get those sanding marks, the saw marks in there, but sanding your wood definitely helps to create a smoother surface. But at some point you just have to stop sanding because it can take a little while with these pieces. Hi Shuriken Zone. You say you burn a few ornaments every year with extremely modest skills and techniques. Aw. You say you need to pay close attention to this. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Just enjoy the process and keep challenging yourself. And above all, have fun. Create what you love. And share it with the people that you love. That's what I think art is all about. So my nose is looking kind of funny right now. I'm trying to burn around some of the white highlights. As long as you keep those areas kind of bigger, the white highlight areas bigger, you can always shave them down and make them smaller and thinner. So that the highlights are just barely there. I like his nose is a little crooked. I think it's really cute. Okay. So that's the majority of our line work. Now, if we want to start creating texture, we can keep going with the mini flow point if you want. Some people really like kind of a sharper knife blade Like if you're going to be using the razor tip, something like this that gives a nice sharp line, and you can get in here and almost kind of gently carve in some of the little fur strokes. Generally, I don't like using the sharper edged pieces like this, the points. They're a little bit unruly for me. But I think we might just carry on with the mini flow point here and focus more on creating just lots of little lines. Now wow, we're getting a lot of stop spots. So stop spots are those little tiny dark spots that show up when you move the burner kind of too slowly. We'll see what I can do here. I don't know that I can do just line work, guys. I'm gonna have to probably try to just shade like I normally do. So just back and forth, simple lines. Hi, Terry. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, we have a little deer and a snowman. So these are our projects tonight. Shuriken is asking if I have a random orbital sander by chance. You use that to finish your ornaments, and it works nicely to remove the sanding belt or saw marks. I do have an orbital sander. I also got a new belt sander too, because I have some of these that are really rough cut that I need to sand down. So definitely need to fire those up. Steve says that these would look good burning on Zentangle tiles. Color them and use them for Christmas tree ornaments. Absolutely. Yeah, and you can drill a hole at the top of these pieces of wood and just pull a string through it, or you can put an eye screw, kind of a, what are they called? Yeah, it's like a screw with a little eyelet at the top, and you just screw that in the very top, and you can hang a string with that as well. Hola, Omar. So there's lots of different ways to kind of take these ornaments, these little pieces of wood, and turn them into ornaments. Just a little drill at the top would be, I think, the simplest way to go. All right. So we'll add a few little fur strokes in here. Oh, Terry, you love the snowman. Awesome. Yep. Do I repeat this through the bear den? Yeah, you can watch it tomorrow. Absolutely, Terry. These will go on the bear den, the videos. Just look under the beginner tab on Mighty Networks. Awesome. Thanks, Mina. Yeah, they'll all be on there. And I'll get the project patterns figured out and set up there as well. So it looks like we have a little bit of a darker area here around the ears. You can shade those in with nice smooth shading, or you can do what I'm doing here and just back and forth strokes. Just make it look a little bit hairy. And same thing on the other ear. Thank you, Mina. So Mina put a link in the chat of our platform. It's an online community platform. It's like Patreon, only better. You're able to get lots of great information, tons of resources, and past live streams. And you get the project patterns and reference photos. You get a discount on patterns over at Wood Burning University. And in exchange for just supporting me monthly, it's like a little monthly pledge, and it helps me to kind of cover some expenses here at the house and be able to continue making these live streams for everybody. So it's a wonderful way to support my art, and you get lots of great perks and benefits from it. So definitely take a look at that if you haven't. Thanks, Shuriken Zone. I'm glad that it is helpful. He's kind of a cutie. Oh, Mina says some perks are monthly discounts on Wood Burning University patterns, free project patterns, video library, that's right, community connection, live stream access, project polls, member galleries, and ask me questions. Thanks, Mina. Yeah, there's a lot there. Now, if you want to kind of go back over and make your deer look a little bit more three-dimensional, you can always just add another layer of fur. I know this is a beginner project, but just a little taste test of more advanced skills is your layering. The more layers that you have on a wood burning, the more realistic and lively your project will appear. So I'm just going to go back over and add another layer of fur strokes along the outer edges. And you notice it just makes it look a little bit fuller. Awesome. Lisa says, I love how we have all started using the chat more than Facebook to share and comment. Yeah, I used to have a Facebook page for patrons and then a Discord channel, and everything was kind of scattered. So now with Mighty Networks, everything is all together. So you can chat and message and all that in the same platform, which is really, really cool. And the biggest thing that I love about Mighty Networks instead of Patreon is it's so easy to find the projects that you're looking for. I had so much content that it was very difficult to find a certain project that you wanted to look at on Patreon because you just had to scroll for forever. But with Mighty Networks, everything's categorized and labeled by skill level, and it's so much easier to navigate. Shuriken Zone, you never had a Facebook account. Gotcha. Mina, you're not using Facebook anymore either. Yeah. The only reason I have a Facebook account is to share my art. That's it. It's a good way to reach people for art. It used to be really great, and I was growing really fast on Facebook, and then they changed their algorithms and everything just kind of came to a stop. So pretty frustrating on that front, but hopefully they'll change the algorithm in the future and make it a little bit more friendly to small businesses. Sorry if that's getting out of focus. It should behave now. Now, as we are adding our little fur strokes up and away from the nose, you can see how the lines kind of fan out. We don't want to just go straight up with our fur strokes. we want to imagine that the fur strokes are attached to a three-dimensional subject and just kind of curve outward. Like a big fan. Algorithm. Yeah, Lisa. I tell you what, I was growing by leaps and bounds on Facebook. And then it all stopped. It's like in 5+ years, I have hardly any more followers than I did 5 or 6 years ago. Everything stopped, so that's why I don't post a whole lot on there. I'm not the best with social media. I'm trying more and more to post on social media, but that's a beast for another day to talk about. So my first strokes are really kind of stretching out along the outer edges of the head and above the eye. Got quite the shadows here. I think this is the first time that I've done first strokes with the mini flow point. I usually do this with the shading point, but this just goes to show that you can really do a lot of these techniques with a variety of different points. You don't have to use the point that I show in the live streams or the tutorials. Feel free to experiment with the different points and see which one works best for you. Because see, this is doing first strokes just fine. Terry says you're not good with social media or marketing yourself. Yeah, marketing is, I think, one of the most difficult things that we do as artists. I find it to be very frustrating and challenging. Lisa says, is the Facebook page still active? It's still up for right now. Yeah, Lisa. I haven't taken it down, but so I'm going to shade. I'm going to add more little hair strokes here at the edges of the head. And just right up here above the nose. For a little bit of a rounded appearance. Okay. So we'll add just some spontaneous little strokes in the ear. Wish I had better lighting here. Will probably work. And you can see it is so easy to get these stop spots when burning on an end grain. If you stop just for a little bit, it's gonna overburn. But it is what it is. Alright, so next up is some first strokes down below the chin. And just a few kind of sporadically out in here. You can see the faster that I move the burner, it's like not even making marks. So slow down a little bit. I think it would look kind of bare if all we had was unburned wood there. So I'll add just a few little strokes And some on the chin. And the cheeks. I might have to turn the wood for those cheeks. Which I think I will. I mean, it looks like a scar. I think it's great. Yeah, they do. They get those often, fighting and all that. So another great tip when you're working as a beginner, don't forget that you can turn the wood. To suit your hand position, just make it easier on yourself and turn that wood. Thanks, Terry. So glad to have you here. Thanks, Cynthia. I'll try not to overwork these since they're just cute little beginner projects here. So there you have the deer. We will work on the antlers and go from there. My image here has the antlers with fur texture, so I'm not going to do that. I will make the antlers just a little bit smoother. And I guess we'll just stick with the same flow point. The shading point would be better, but I don't have one installed right now, so. Anytime that you want to make something three-dimensional, think about your light source and don't overcomplicate it. Just imagine that there's light coming down from the top. And so we're going to have some darker areas on the underside of the antlers. And I'll just stick with this simple flow point here, the mini flow point. But I'm going to follow the contours of the antlers. I am just really struggling for light tonight. And just trying to think, if the antlers were in front of you, where would the lighting be? Where would the shadows be? And if you've ever actually seen real antlers, they have this wonderful network of lines where they have these ridges running through the antlers. It's quite beautiful. So adding some of these lateral lines in here is actually quite realistic. So just a little touch of shading on the underside of the antlers. Like that, just gives it a nice little pop. And same thing with the other side. Think about just adding this line work to the underside of the antlers. Thanks, Shuriken. Have a great night. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. And then we have some of these little stars. Okay, so let me move that. And I think we need some little snowflakes in here. You can put them in with white paint, although it's probably not going to show up very well because the basswood is so light. So we're just going to put in some snowflakes with our point here. So this is the flow point. Just start adding some dots sporadically in the background. You'll notice one of the cool things about when you try to add snow or, yeah, in this case, just think snow. If you press and hold longer, you get a bigger dot. If you do a quick dot, you get a small dot. So you can really vary the size of your snowflakes by how long you set the point on the wood, as far as longer or quicker. You can get like really fine, tiny snowflakes in there too. So just vary the amount of time that you set the burner on the wood to create the illusion of bigger and smaller snowflakes. And there you go. There is your cute little deer. He is super cute. Okay. If you guys have any questions on this one, let me know. We'll switch over to the Santa, and we can always come back to this one if you have some more questions. Thanks, Mina. Yeah, please, if you find this information helpful, go ahead and hit the like button and sign up for notifications so you get a notification when we go live. Most of my content is live streams. I do have quite a few just normal YouTube videos out there, but most of my content is the live streams. So if you are signed up and you sign up for notifications and you click the little bell, it'll tell you when I go live. Oh, thanks, guys. I think their little guy is very cute too. All right, so this snowman was a little bit of a pain to work with, mostly because you can see my piece of wood had a black dot in the center of it, and I tried to find a subject that I can hide those little spots and weird things with. So if I have to do something really fine-tuning like this, I'll take a picture of the piece of wood and throw it into Photoshop, and then I'll put my snowman over it and make it just exact. So that's why you can see that little dot that otherwise would make a weird impression on the snowman. It's like he has a freckle or a black eye. If you can use these knots and blemishes to your advantage, go for it. So that's why the snowman's a little off to the side, but I think overall it's going to work out just fine. Okay, so I think I'll do something very similar. I'll start off with the bigger point, the flow point, and we'll outline this guy. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Mina. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Ramona. Thanks, Steve. Alrighty, so let's work on some of the outer details here. And again, my light is challenged this evening. And just like the deer, we're going to really take our time to try to get these lines as even as we can. You're going to see sometimes the point just sinks down into the wood grain and there's not a whole lot that you can do. So that's just part of wood burning, and we get an irregular surface to work on. But I really like how the deer turned out with the wide border on the outside, so I think we're going to do that same thing here with Mr. Snowman. Wow, that one got really off. This one is definitely more sanded. You don't see near as much as much of the saw marks, which I think is helpful. I find that these curved lines are some of the more complicated things to burn on, especially when working with an end cut like this. So really take your time and go slow. Work in smaller sections instead of just trying to make all this line in one movement. Okay. I got it a little bit full right there, but you can always go back and add a little shadow underneath. To try to hide it. Okay. So let's switch to the other mini flow point. Alright, for his little eyes, we're going to do the same as the deer's eyes. Really make that highlight big, overly big. And then fill in the dark space around it. And it should be about perfect. Alrighty, here's his funny little teeth. Don't really need to shade that first tooth in very much, do I? Alright, that blemish is a little bit bigger than the other teeth, but yeah, I think it works pretty well. And we have a couple buttons. Lisa, yes, it does add character. Absolutely, Laura. All right, we'll add in our tassels. Okay. How about we'll do the arms here in a sec. Alrighty, I like his little stick arms. I think they're very cute. Okay. And this mini flow point is great for branch work like this. You can actually get a nice fine line with this little point. Okay. So very similar to the deer, we're going to do some shading with texture again. And we're just going to go back and forth. You could even do cross hatching with this if you wanted to. I'll probably just stick with some lateral lines. This is a great introduction to shading because you don't have to worry so much that your shading is really smooth. You just need to add a little bit of value on the outer edges of the hat, whether it's dots or lines, however you want to make it. Smooth shading, just get some value there along the edges and it'll have a little bit of shading to it. Hi Tracy! After you put in one layer, go back and do another layer. Hi Waynes! Glad that you can join us tonight. So for those just joining us, we finished this little wood burning of a cute little deer, and now we're on to a snowman. And in order to make something look rounded, we want a shading on the outer edges and to have it light in the middle. So just keep adding some layers of these lines until it looks a little bit more three-dimensional or rounded. And the faster that you move the wood burning tool, the lighter the lines. The slower that you go, the darker the lines. This hat, I want to have it a little bit darker underneath the brim of the hat where it sits on his head, so we'll add a little bit more shading there. Let's add a little bit more shading texture underneath the rim of the hat. Okay, so we have a little carrot nose and some buttons. You can make these really fun, and you know, I'm gonna put it like a spiral in here. I think that would be really cute, almost like a peppermint. And we'll thicken up the line at the bottom like a crescent, and that'll make it look like there's a shadow under the button. Crescent or a smiley face, however you want to think about that, but a little smiley face underneath these buttons will be a great shadow. All right. And you can add all kinds of different texture to your wood burnings. That's one of the great things about wood, is it is very impressionable. In this case, I'm going to kind of create a plaid work effect by doing some cross hatching. And we can do the same thing on the upper part of his scarf. I think I'll add a little extra strokes here at the edges of the scarf. Let's see, we can even do that at the bottom of the scarf too. You can really start to see the circular grain of the wood showing up there. I think that's pretty neat. Steve, am I using a ring lamp? Yeah, I have my big one. It's like, I don't know, 18 inches or 2 feet across up above. But I generally get some shadows, so I have a tiny one here that's, I don't know, 10 or 12 inches. And I'm trying to get that in place so that I don't get the shadows on the back side here. So I know, I'm sorry if it looks a little funny on the camera, but I am trying to make it to where you have better light. So I have, yeah, the 2 of them. All right, so now I'm going to add some of the vertical plaid, but I'm going to try to make it look, what is it, like lumpy? Like we have a crease over on his scarf. It's neat to see how just a few little strokes can really give the illusion of what you're trying to create. All right, so we are looking pretty good. We need to add a little bit of structure around our snowman himself. So some lines around the outside will make him look more rounded. And I just really want to follow the curvature of the snowman here for these lines. Thanks, Cynthia. You did. Uh-huh. And it's up to you how much of the shading that you want to add to the snowman. You can just go through and really take your time and build up some nice value with these stroke marks in here. Make them look nice and plump. Make sure that your marks get a little bit lighter as they get towards the center of the snowman's belly. They can definitely be darker around the outside. Lisa says he looks dapper. Oh, he does. He's a handsome snowman. He looks very festive and jolly. Okay, so right now we have basically a floating snowman because he's not connected to the snow. So we're going to do a little bit of stroke shading at the bottom of his belly to make him look like he's on the snow instead of floating. Wayne said, after seeing the cabin one the other night, you started a cabin one today. Awesome. Yeah, we are, on Friday nights, we are wood burning an image of a snow globe with a cabin inside, which I'm really loving. It is a more advanced project. You're welcome to take a look at that over on YouTube. It's up for just a little bit. I usually leave the live streams, the most recent live streams, up for a little bit, a couple of days, and then I take them down, and they are archived over on Mighty Networks. So if you're looking for more information, that's a great place to start. Thanks, Mina. Mina's got the link in the chat for you if you're interested in Mighty Networks. All right, I think I want a little bit more shading at the bottom of his belly. Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, I think the snow globe is looking really nice as well. That's going to be a really neat project to see finished up. Okay. So that's looking pretty fun. We want to make sure that we don't overshade the snowman because he's made of snow. He needs to be a little bit lighter in value. So if you feel like your values might be a little bit off, you can always go back and darken up some of the darker areas. Like his hat is usually really dark. You can touch that up and add some more shading and stroke marks in there. But this is looking really cute. You can add some shading and definition to his little arms. And then we have our cute tiny snowflakes in the background. And you can embellish them as much as you want. Okay. And then let's see. Kind of like we did with the last one, you can make snowflakes with either the bigger flow point or the mini flow point, depending on how dense you want your snowflakes. So for this one, we'll go ahead and do just the mini flow point. And I try to be really random when putting in snowflakes. So I jump around a lot from place to place. And just vary the amount of time that you press on the wood with your point. And you can create different size snowflakes. Tracy, thank you. Tracy says your burnings always come out nicer and more authentic than the pictures that you use. Thank you very much. Yeah, just remember that your reference that's all it is. You don't have to have the perfect reference photo. You don't have to have the perfect starting point. You just need a starting point, and then feel free to use it as long as you need it, and then make it your own and create your own style. And I think that's where it's a lot of fun. So adding a little bit of shading, a little darkening up underneath the base of the scarf. Looks like this side of his scarf is kind of crinkled, so I'm going to darken it up over here as well. But it really doesn't matter what point you use. Feel free to experiment with the different points and see what works best for you. A lot of my work is very realistic, and so I choose a smoother point, something that's going to give me a really soft, smooth surface or texture. But if you like this kind of stylized textured item, wood burning style, if I can find the right words, definitely go for it. Just change up the point. Keep the values and the basics of wood burning that I've taught you guys. Keep that in your mind as far as, vary your line thickness if you're doing something like this. Make sure you get some roundedness to your subjects. Vary the thickness of your snowflakes. Keep lighter white subjects lighter and darker subjects darker. Darks push back, lights pull forward. Just take all of the things that I've taught you over the live streams and apply it to your own personal style and your own personal points and burners and just kind of make it your own. And I think that's where your own artistic freedom is really going to come out. Because you don't need to create burnings just like I do. I love seeing all kinds of different types of artistry and styles. You know, I gravitate towards the realism, and if you want to do realism, that's awesome. And if you want to do something more stylized, that's awesome too. So I try to teach some core basics, and I hope that you can take those and fold them into the way that you like to create art. So our little beginner live streams, these are designed for smaller projects, and they don't take near as much time as our big live streams. So let's take another look here at our little guys. And I think we're about ready to wrap this up. It's 7:15, but we, I think, have accomplished what we set out to do. It's interesting how these have a little bit different colors to them. This one is more warmer, it seems like, than this one. And I don't know, just the way that the wood grew or something, I think it's pretty neat. Alrighty, well, I think this wraps up our beginner live stream. Ornaments, you can see they go very quickly. So if you want to do a craft show or anything like that, just take a day and lay everything out, and you can probably make a whole bunch of ornaments in relatively short amount of time. The deer is about 4 by 4 inches. The snowman, I think, is like 4 by 4.5 inches tall. So, and these are pretty big ornaments, and you can see it really didn't take us all that long to create them. These rounds you can find on Walnut Hollow. Just make sure that you specify what you get. They have ones that have been sanded like this, and others that have been, they're rough cut. You would have to have a lot of more like prep work to do to wood burn on the unsanded ones. So make sure you know which ones you're getting. Read the descriptions. You can get a discount code, 15% off on all your wood and all other purchases from Walnut Hollow. I have a discount code, Minisa 15, if you decide to shop directly with Walnut Hollow. So, and I will get these patterns up on Mighty Networks and also Wood Burning University. And don't forget to check out Wood Burning University. I have a lot of Christmas patterns already up and ready to go. So if you're interested in some ornaments, take a look and see what is there. I have everything from beginner, intermediate, advanced, and premium patterns. So awesome. Well, thanks so much, guys. I think this next Friday we're going to keep working on the snow globe. We'll get Christmas behind us, and then we'll take a look and see if we want to do a Zoom party meeting and go from there. Okay, if you have any questions, just reach out on social media or my email, and I'll get back with you. All right, thank you, Mina, for putting that link in the chat. And the discount code. I appreciate it. Okay, all right. Well, everybody, you guys have a fantastic week, and I'll see you on Friday. Good night.